And you've seen the two gentlemen on my right, all of them are really beating hard for their political formations. But Dr. Mbai has introduced a bit of voodoo politics, saying that this vote is going to be guided by the spirits, so that the people who long died are the ones who are going to influence the electoral outcome. And in Africa, to win an election, that is actually what you are supposed to be doing. Because there's now evidence that the majority of people in Africa do not vote based on facts and figures. They vote on emotions, which is the reason why if you start looking at the composition of these political parties, you may want to ask yourself one question. How come DCP is majority Mount Kenya? And the newspapers, the cartoons have said that DCP has not presented a policy position on any issue. In fact, their policy position is Ruto must go, Ruto one term. They've not gone the extra mile to explain if Ruto goes, so what? Now, this morning, President Donald Trump has just landed in China, and I've seen a very solid reception. And the two presidents are talking about policies around prosperity. But if you follow the DCP campaigns, you'll not hear the word prosperity anywhere. It's Ruto must go.
Ruto must.
Now, the reason why this campaign is very critical, whether or not DCP wins, is because of the bandwagon effect. You recall how President Kenyatta came into office. There was a by-election in Murang'a and there was a by-election in Kajiado. And at that stage, people looked at former President Kenyatta and said, wait a minute, you may not have the political muscles, but he used those two by-elections to pronounce his arrival. And he told people that if you want to win in Mount Kenya, if you want to win in Maasai Land and you do not join my political party, then that is political suicide. After that, everybody was beaten into one neat row. Now, that is what is likely to happen in the by-election today. And you ask a very pertinent question. How come? The conversation right now is around UDA and DCP. It's simply in Kenya, we don't have political parties, but we have powerful political personalities. It's the case that if DCP was under a gentleman called Dismas Mokua, you will not even get a filler story. But now you've got a very powerful political personality who is actually intimidating everybody. You know, if you come from Mount Kenya and you don't support a DCP, you are branded a traitor for taking a political position. So that if you are selfish interests, because every politician has got selfish interest, if your selfish interests are not aligned to Rigathi Gachagua's selfish interest, then you are branded a traitor. In fact, somebody, a master's or a PhD student, should do a paper and find out how that thing called traitor is going to affect voter turnout. That if you take an independent position, you're going to be beaten into a pulp. The same thing happened in Rift Valley a few days ago when President Ruto spoke in his mother tongue and said to the people, you guys, why can't you go and register? If you don't register, somebody is going to move away this cake. So it means that all the politicians in Kenya, it's about their selfish interests.
Is this a trend we are seeing where DCP will now be the main challenger for your UDA party, even in areas where no other party has felt confident enough to challenge the UDA?
DCP will not be the main challenger for UDA. It's going to be Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. And I can bet my grandmother's cow that if for some reason today Rigathi Gachagua decides to shake hands with President Ruto, then DCP doesn't exist anymore. You recall, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua was a very happy man till President Kenyatta said that there is a political party called Jubilee that I want to invigorate. And he said that we are going to start from Mount Kenya. All of a sudden, you saw structured campaigns running against Dr. Matiang'i because they said Dr. Matiang'i is going to be the Jubilee's presidential candidate. Never mind that in Mount Kenya, Munya has got a political party, Kiunjuri has got a political party. In fact, the highest concentration of political parties is in Mount Kenya and Kisii. You know, in Kisii, if you want to be a politician, the first thing you do is you have your political party, and also in Mount Kenya. Now, the pronouncement that Dr. Matiang'i is coming to town, there was fury. When Matiang'i said that we are going to run Jubilee candidates, the entire of Mount Kenya, I saw DCP back in my village in Kisii, they're actually identifying candidates. And because of Kenya's ethnic composition, they stand a very high probability of getting a couple of elected leaders.
DCP?
In Kisii, yeah. And you know, Kisii is probably the most cosmopolitan, multicultural setup in Kenya. So they stand a chance of getting elected, not nominated, elected people in Kisii. And in my view, going forward, if we want to make progress, and join, you know, when we hosted this Africa Summit, which was a big deal, if we want to sit comfortably in those meetings, we must start abandoning tribal considerations for everything we do in town.
But as we sit here today, Dr. Mbai, do you see DCP now? This is a party that's months old. It's only months old. Yeah. You're yet to even launch the party.
Yes, you're right.
And this appears